There are pillars to be acknowledged or essential part of the transactions. And these pillars must be present so that the transaction of selling and buying could be valid. And these pillars are, number one, the format. So each contract has a format, even marriage contracts. They call it ijab and qubul. In marriage, which we will come to hopefully discuss later on, the guardian says, I give you my daughter X for marriage. The groom-to-be says, I accept her marriage. There is a format. Proposal and acceptance. This is pillar number one. Pillar number two, that there is a person who is conducting the selling and a person who is buying. So there has to be two parties, a seller and a buyer. And number three, what is to be sold and bought? So there has to be the subject of such a transaction, which is the item and the price. So the format can be either a verbal thing that is done, and it can be by action. So it can take one of these two ways. Either it is something that we say, or it can be through actions without saying. And as I said, it's a proposal you make. I sell you my pen for 10 euros. This is a proposal. And the acceptance would be, I accept. And that is done with. And this usually is done with things that has value, things that have value, such as cars, real estate, expensive clothing, etc. There is a form of bargaining, because this is what selling and buying is all about, bargaining. I might say, I sell you this for 1,000 euros. No, this is expensive. How about making it 800? You say, oh no, that's too cheap. What about 900? We bargain, and then he says, what about 900? He says, I accept. The deal is done. There is another way of doing it is through actions. And this happens in petty things, in small things. Like you go to a grocery shop and you find an item with the price. You just pick it up, go to the cashier without even greeting them. See, it's 2 euros, you give 2 euros, he cashes it in and gives you the item and you go. So this is something that people know without even speaking about it. Give and take. The second pillar is to have the two involved in the transaction. The one who's buying and selling, the one who's buying and the one who's selling. So we have to have two individuals or two entities who are conducting this transaction. And the third pillar is the subject. If I have the money, then I have the price. What am I buying? I don't know. There's no selling and buying. Why? I've got the money. Yeah, but what are you buying? There has to be something to be sold. So there has to be these two things to be exchanged. And this is why there is a difference between the subject of the transaction or the subject of what's going to be sold and bought and the place, because the place will be important later on, inshallah, when we speak about the option of choice. And we have khiyarul majlis, the option of the place. And that is something to come and to be discussed later on. هذا والله أعلم ونسبة العلم إليه أسلم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد.